Okay. Yeah.
Episode
Spencer was
66.
excited about this thing. I say that you have to play the intro because I think one of the episodes I forgot. So I'm so sorry, Alfred. Really like I would remember to do that. So guys, welcome back to the show. This is the Three Marketers show, and this is episode 66. Manfred, do you think episode 66? Okay. So this is episode 66, and yeah, we have a very special guest. We have Kartina here, all the way from Indonesia. Our first Indonesian guest. It's an honor. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Okay. Now, before we go to really like allow Manfred to introduce Katina, we just want to say, hopefully everyone is safe. Despite in some of the places in Malaysia we have quite crazy flood. Just hope that everybody is okay right now. As you can see here, our third marketeer, Andrew, he is with us only with the face tonight because his place is not affected by flood, just to make sure everybody is kind of like concerned. But his internet connection is affected by the thing. So he can only join us with his face. He can't really participate in the conversation, but we wanted, come on, man, I'll just say that you have the face. You see, like he go again. Anyway, Andrew is safe. Andrew is safe. Okay. So let's roll back to the show. As usual, we do this every Wednesday night. You see, I have another show on Sunday night. That's why I got mixed up a bit. So we do this every Wednesday night. This is episode 66. And today we're going to talk about influencer and social commerce. But since this is, Katina is invited by Manfred. Maybe we'll just let Manfred do a bit of introduction. Can you help us understand and, know Katina, please?
So
please.
I think it's 10 years already. 10 years. Back in the days of financial institute where we talk about insurance and the overseas market in Indonesia, mobile apps, dinner and dance performance. So much memory. And we hardly spoke after that. Then suddenly I thought of her to invite her to come to our show. Actually, we should invite her to come back to talk about fintech. Correct.
Oh, she's in fintech, yes.
Yeah, but never mind. Today, our audience are in luck. We'll talk about influencers and social media. Then, if you all love her so much, we can get her back next year. Next year is just only a few weeks down the road.
Yeah, and so far we are like another week.
Okay, Katina, you take over. I think you do a self intro.
Thank you, Manfred. What an intro. Anyway, as usual. Maybe Katina, you can actually help us know what is your current so-called specialty or profession that's in related to the topic today, so that we can understand you more, please.
Okay, so traditionally, I used to be a marketing person, more towards the usual PR and advertising, branding, those kind of items. Been handling research since the old days too. So it's more about the complexity of the marketing comms. So, and then until I met Manfred, so I changed myself quite a decade then, because he said a decade, right? So I changed myself since then. That I was moving more towards the, my focus more towards the digital CX, customer experience, those kind of items, in addition to my past of traditional marketing kind of, focus. So here we are today. But perhaps, if you ask me why I slightly changed my focus, it's simply because, in the past years, more than 10 or 12 years ago, it was the time when we see some of the development around the digital and social media. So we see a lot of digital marketing comes on board, and we start to see what is this all about. Remember those old days, like 2007 or 2008, something around the Facebook
Friendster,
Friendster, yeah. But I never had Friendster, by the way. So just a declare. It's sort of like those timing that then I thought that this is a bit of interesting stuff to follow through. And then I started to get involved in those kind of like mobile marketing, digital marketing kind of per se. In addition to my study at that time, because I was doing my doctoral research, so I was more towards that kind of like customer marketing, which is much more closer to the things that we are going to talk today. But don't worry, I'm not going to give you a lecture, or it's not
It's
going
just
to
a
be
chit
a
chat. No need lecture. No need
open
lecture.
lecture.
Yeah, we do not know, right? But guys, since we have a doctor here, if you guys have any questions related to digital marketing or whatever that is related to her studies, you guys can pop the questions in the comment. So, okay, now let's roll into the topic today. I think, we have a very interesting topic that was set. I'm not sure whether it's by you or Manfred. We're going to talk about influencer and social commerce.
Yeah.
I mean, before we go into the first question that we have, right, I just want to understand the relation of these two, the influencer and social commerce. How can these two work together?
Okay, so influencer and social commerce. I think I would rather talk more about the social commerce.
Sure. So we will just pop with the social commerce first.
Yeah.
So
So we pop up the social commerce first because I think everyone needs to get into the context where
yes.
are we with this social commerce, why then we arrive at this kind of like situations of social commerce. So I think we need to take a step back that we were in the hype of e-commerce. And I think like I don't know in other places, but I'm sure that everyone in Asia, precisely China market, Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia market, we are all the e-commerce market. Especially here, people love to shop, right? I mean, like that's the reason why. So it's a very total hype here. I mean, like you see everyone around, for example, like the Shopee kind of things, the Tokopedia. It's a big hype here. So it should be started with the e-commerce. So that's the reason why we then need to understand that because of the hype of the social the hype of e-commerce, then it goes up to the current social commerce that we are in. So in a simple word, social commerce is actually a subset of e-commerce.
Yes, and I think it's very popular in Thailand via the WhatsApp. People want, because I say example, I want to start my own business. I really don't have capital. So starting e-commerce like a website and do the transaction, that one will be a headache. I don't know anything, but I'm just a mom and pop shop. So WhatsApp plays an important part for it. Yeah. Sorry to hijack and you continue.
No, it's good. It's good. I think it actually helps the audience feel really like understand the social commerce. I think that's the benefit of having someone with a very strong academic background. So she will always guide us back. Let's not this is a very good kickstart. So can I mean, like how Kartina puts it, social commerce is a subset of e-commerce, and I would say, and Manfred added it and say that social commerce is like something that if you're not familiar with like the system and architecture or whatever that involves like a website thing, you can also sell without them. So you can actually sell on Facebook, you can sell on WhatsApp. So social commerce is, can I safely say that, can I safely put that it's like a subset of e-commerce that uses the social network to do the selling? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, it's pretty much into the how the social networks will help you to do the selling process. But I think what social commerce means here in a simple words again, it's all about the social media. I mean, that's the reason why we see the rise and shine of social media, and that's the reason why we see the rise of social commerce, right? So it doesn't really matter whether you understand or you don't understand. You have your own community or you don't have your own communities. It's simply that you just need to understand a bit more about how social media works and understand which platform works for your target audience. For example, if your target audience is in TikTok, then you should do via TikTok. That's how I could say. But if your audience is much more mature, which is still on the Facebook, then you probably need to still use the Facebook. So I
Right.
think it's more about the combinations of the strategy that you need to understand. But I don't want to make it more complicated for everyone who are joining us today. But I would like to simply say that this is simply an applications of social media. So that's the reason why we need to understand how the social media works first before we step into the social commerce. That's probably the first one that I could highlight.
Thank you so
Okay.
much, Katina.
Yeah.
So yeah, Manfred, you want to say something? You
So I will
usually
go
raise your
because
hand.
for yeah, because today no people. Andrew, no need to. I don't need to snap with Andrew. So the main thing is when it comes to social commerce, I'm not familiar with Indonesia, but I do read up a bit about Thailand. So what I know is a mom and pop shop. So can I say for social commerce, it's a little bit leaning more towards COD, cash on delivery. So I send someone to deliver to you this dress, and you pay the money on the spot. It's very hassle free in a way, but all very small scale, heavily in this model. Am I right to say that?
It's probably the simplest kind of like approach that we can say.
Yes,
Yep.
yes,
But
yes.
if I consider, like for example, if you are taking a jump to Indonesian market, let's say, I
Mhm.
think if we just scroll around the Instagram kind of seller,
Yeah,
they,
yeah.
they know exactly what to do now with
Mm.
the Instagram, right?
Mhm.
You got the link, because I think I need to put a bit of the context and the not the theory, right? Don't worry, but just to put the context of, for example, what We Are Social is reporting on Indonesia, right? So
Mhm.
we see that around 60 plus percent
Mm.
people are still trying to find info or do the selling or purchase
Mm.
after they click on the Instagram or they click on the social media.
Mhm.
That's how I could say. So this proves that everyone gets to the understanding. I mean, like your potential buyers get to the understanding that once they reach out to your social media, then they
Mm.
expect to see all the links that should be there. I mean,
Yep.
expect you to have that. That's the key items that I could. I could overview so far.
I
Nice,
see.
nice. I mean, I think Manfred brought up a very interesting key point where he said the COD part of it, but I would say I probably beg to differ a bit because,
Mm.
in my opinion, based on how I understand, based on Malaysia context and a few other markets that I'm actually helping, like Thailand, Indonesia, Singapore, and all that, I'm actually kind of involved in even Philippines market. When it comes to social commerce, the way I understand it is
Mm.
like how I would definitely agree with Kartina, which is as long as you're using the social media to sell,
Mm.
it's not really the format. It's about what makes you feel more comfortable and what works for your business and what works
Mm.
for your audience. Like I was just
Mm.
talking to one of my coachee, or kind of like my coachee in Thailand.
Mm.
He's using Line.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
He's using Line heavily to do his like food delivery service, and he's actually on the rise at this point of time. So I guess it's
Mhm.
about finding the social media that you're more comfortable with, and definitely leverage on that. And Katina brought up a very interesting point where at this point of time in Indonesia, Instagram seems to be the thing that is on the rise. So that would actually lead us to the next question. Really something that I do have a few students from Indonesia, but at this point, they are all selling on the marketplaces like Tokopedia, and stuff like that. But when it comes to social commerce, I have very little knowledge in Indonesia. Can you share with us more, please?
Okay. So I think I would use to this. I mean, current conditions of pandemics to set a scene of social commerce. Let's say, because again, when we talk about social commerce, because it's a subset of the e-commerce, then we need to understand that if you talk about e-commerce, then you know that we are in the kind of like peer-to-peer kind of relationship, peer-to-peer kind of interaction, which in the old days, those peer-to-peer, we are only sharing our views and thoughts, right? But there's no such of engagement to that. But in the era of social commerce, it's a bit different. Those peer-to-peer, they are really talking, and they really come to the reality. So for example, there should be like an online and offline kind of like interaction. So I'm not touching about this O2O kind of things, right? I'm not going to that far, Manfred, but I'm just simply talking about that they do have this online, but they do create a offline interactions to make sure those peers or those fans or those kind of like supporter of your products, of your brands are getting together, are getting along and support the hype or evolvement of the products or the brand itself. So this is something that I can see it's happening in Indonesia. So yes, I agree to the point that we see that everyone is still using a e-commerce platform. Of course, they're using that as part of the uh, uh, multi kind of like channel. It's not about calling omni-channel, but it's just like providing every single avenue. So it's kind of like easy for your potential customers to reach out to you. That's the key things, right? But in a nutshell, I would rather say that this e-commerce in Indonesia, the way it is getting its hype, it's because simply the mobile phone users, the growing internet users, and the growing age of range. Like for example, this kind of like the current Gen Z millennials kind of things, which is currently in the market. They are, at the workforce. Sort of like that. So they are the key drivers of those kind of like development in the social commerce kind of like industry, right? So this is a bit of the things of Indonesia. So the way, as long as you get the connections right here, then you will see the impact. But I think one key items here, if we talk about the e-commerce, the social commerce too, and as well as the influencer later on, I think why influencer is being kicked off in the discussion is simply because that after all, social media is always about the word of mouth, right?
Yep, chatting lah, chatting.
Chatting and everything, right? So during the first round, we never think that our WhatsApp can be like a sales generator for us. We
Yep.
thought that it's simply just like a usual those old days of BlackBerry, for example, that we just simply chat with each other. But now it's simply just the engine for customer service, for any kind of like sales items or anything. So for example, in my case, I would just click into the Instagram and check what are the alternative or channels to buy. And sometimes I just click the WhatsApp and then simply just, okay, if I want to pay, then they will arrange the transfer or a QR code at these days, because everything is under the QR, so it's easier for you, right? So this is the thing that is happening, I think, in not just here but every other places.
Yeah, don't mind,
Nice.
I hijack a bit. Although I'm not
Yeah.
very familiar with the social commerce in Indonesia, but I did spend some time to understand about social commerce. So social commerce can be like P2P sales platform like the Pinterest, ST, the handicraft, or like chat commerce where people chatting. Facebook can use to chat. IG also can use to chat, especially Line. Line in Thailand is sounds like today I'm very Thailand. So they also like forums and Facebook groups, and I think the most important one is live streaming, where it's made popular in China. And but one thing is, all these have one thing in common is they don't have the payment gateway. So a lot of times you have to use PayPal, or I think got Line Pay, which I never used before, Apple Pay, and so on and so forth. So just want to cover a bit on the whole spectrum of. I'm not so familiar with the Indonesia, but just roughly for social commerce.
I think a while ago, I think like it's actually about 4 to 5 years ago, I had a discussion with one of so-called e-commerce endeavors in Indonesia. We were actually discussing about the challenges that, in comparison to the other countries like Malaysia and Singapore, we were actually told that Indonesia market has a bigger challenge about the credit card adoption, as in like not many people has credit card. And another thing is, the online banking was not really, the thing back then. But I think Katina pointed out a very important point here which is now, it's no longer that, right? You don't have anything. You still have QR code, right? Now it's the QR paying is really becoming the thing. Like I believe in Indonesia, we also, you should have your own kind of like what we have is like Grab Pay and all these things. Yeah, really kind of getting very dominant. So what is the coverage? Can we roughly have the kind of like the number over there in the market?
In terms of like digital payment itself and the vis-a-vis. Okay, so in terms of the overall kind of like payment, the majority will be still by the transfer.
Okay.
Yeah, like if we see like the whole general sense of for example, the kind of like commerce play in a bigger scale, it should be still covered by the transfer and then plus the digital payments.
Right.
That's
Is digital wallet common in Indonesia? Digital wallet.
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
So can easily transfer money.
Yeah, recently it's being added. Like for example, if you have like like the here. We don't have the Grab Pay yet, but we have the other kind of like payment. We do have other brands here, so that's kind of alternatives. It's now being added as part of the channel of payments that you can do, but generally speaking, people will still be calculating as transfer. Yeah, some of them are still taking as what you said earlier, Manfred, as a COD kind of thing. But rarely, because currently we do have our own like digital payment kind of penetration. So even in the non-urban areas, they are getting more familiar with those kind of like concept.
Awesome. I think that's a very important driver of e-commerce adoption or even social commerce adoption, because without that, I think it's very difficult. That's why I think, would you agree that, Katina, with based on my observation, I can see in Malaysia context, right, especially since I actually live here, the past 2 years of the COVID pandemic period was really the accelerator of the digital, the e-commerce and all that. I believe that happens to most of the countries. I believe that also happens to Indonesia as well, right?
Yeah.
How, based on the observation, we may not have the number, I don't, for Malaysia, but how much, how many years, like based on my observation, it takes us at least 5 years ahead in the past 2 years. So what about Indonesia?
In terms of like how we think that it will take you to that kind of like arrangement. Okay.
Digital adoption.
Digital adoptions. Okay. So it depends on the industry itself. I would say that very clear, because I think if we are talking about this e-commerce, social commerce kind of like rise at the moment, that will be the kind of like industry that will accelerate the digital growth faster than others. Okay, for example, I still think that for example, my Manfred and I, we shared the same past because we used to work together, right? So I think in that kind of like industry, it's a bit different. If we are talking about the digital accelerations, so I think it is really correlated with what sort of like industry that we are talking. But one thing for sure that in terms of like Indonesia market, I think people are getting used to like buying or purchasing online, and people are getting into those kind of items around the social selling kind of things. Okay, so those items, for example, as you said, Jason, about this doing a live video or anything, right?
Live streaming, live selling,
products and everything. That is also part of the things that buyers are also doing. not only for the purpose of showing your product, but sometimes they do it as the case of the a bit of the building up their communities as well, and then building up more engagement to the products that they are having. Okay, so I think it's more towards that, but I agree to the point that without the pandemic, I think we are still a bit behind, few years, right? But currently, we are taking a big cut into, I mean, like taking a leap into the current situations that we are in, because I think there was numbers that was introduced by PayPal around how Indonesians are doing this. This shopping around social, kind of like social commerce, social payment, those kind of items. So I think there was a numbers behind. I mean, if I can get the numbers later, I could still get it. But yeah, that was the kind of like a recent study around Indonesia during the pandemic.
Nice. I mean, it's definitely a very big market, for the region, because I think, Indonesia is really one of the biggest market in the region. After
Southeast
I think you
Asia.
guys are the biggest in Southeast Asia. You guys are the biggest, and after that it will be Philippines. Then of course Singapore is the smallest, but of course you guys are the most expensive ones over there, right? So because yesterday when I was doing my training, the CPM when you're running ads for Singapore, for let's take a context, right? It's about 8 times more expensive than Malaysia. It's damn crazy. Four times.
Too many competitors.
It's a lot of competitors. But we talk about influencer marketing. Okay. I mean, is that a really booming thing in Indonesia? When it comes to influencer, right?
It is.
Really?
is.
Can Manfred be an influencer there? I mean,
he needs to take up a leap.
Maybe Manfred.
Yeah,
I mean, just for your information, Kartina, you probably don't know, Manfred is really into TikTok right now. One part of him is about TikTok, and another part of him was about Blackpink. What else? What else? I don't know.
So yeah, you are the user of the TikTok kind of latest kind of like features, right, Manfred?
Yeah, I'm also into social commerce also, because I also spent some time researching for today's episode, and I also wanted to be an influencer. I was thinking whether should we classify YouTube as a part of social commerce also.
Yeah. YouTube is part of that, right? I mean, like the common ground. I mean, like around ASEAN kind of things. I mean, in general, will still be that YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. Until it defines, like for example, some countries may go to Line, some like China will go to WeChat, those kind of items, right? So it goes to that kind of like slices, but in general, that is the whole common approach, right? I mean,
in this part of the world, we are used to Shopee, Lazada, we just buy. So when I look at social commerce, I was curious why people want to do social commerce. But the main thing with social commerce, it behaves like real life. In real life, I want to bargain. Correct or not? I can't really bargain with Shopee, Lazada. In a way, you can.
But seriously, social commerce really involve bargaining, my friend.
You can bargain what?
Really? I mean, when you're talking one-to-one, bargain.
No, about bargaining, right? I mean, but it's more towards again, the
feedback, like you are buying with a real person, but it's online. So that's the plus part of social commerce compared to e-commerce, because the e-commerce we buy from Shopee, Lazada is that price $100. You don't buy, you go and look for another cheaper price.
If you ask me, right? If you ask me, I mean, like, take it a bit, taking aside of the topic itself. Right? But if you ask me, this kind of like chit chat kind of thing. Yeah. But if you ask me why I'm more comfortable with, for example, like those sellers that provide you with a range of communications channel, like selling
instant
channel.
feedback.
It's simply because I know that this e-commerce, they also have those kind of like chat, and so you can chat. But for
the
me,
e-commerce shop very slow.
Yeah, very slow. Yep. I mean, like, I don't know whether because we are part of like digital marketing persons in the past that so sort of like we expect to have something, right? More engaged. I mean,
You
we
wanted
set the
it
standard,
fast.
right?
Yeah.
We set a standard. So if we, I mean, I feel like you see that there is a terminology. If you talk about social commerce, there's a type of, like, we call it user curated shopping, something like that. So I mean,
More
for me,
personalized. More
yeah.
personalized.
So if I talk to the seller directly, I feel it's sort of like those items have been curated for me. Like, I can ask it directly, which one is better for me, something like that. You can't ask directly and I mean, instantly, right? I mean, for example, if I want to understand about the product, so I don't have to waste my time. I can ask directly and get the whole context. I mean, in a comprehensive manner by asking them directly if they have. But it's again up to the preferences, right? Because I know some of the other segment of the market, probably they just simply, I just want to buy. I don't need to be engaged. But there are some other, again, it depends on your persona, right? I mean, like for me, my persona is more towards like, I need to feel that I'm engaged. I can ask, I can talk and everything. But some is just like, I just want to buy. I mean, I don't care. I just want to buy. Okay. I mean, regardless whether the measurement doesn't look right, and then I mean, there's some fault in the products and everything, then I just have a go with that. So it really depends
Sometimes
on.
when you buy the T-shirt itself, XL, it doesn't mean the same throughout the world. In China, 5XL is actually my size. No? So sometimes I wanted to ask questions, and I really like the design, but the person have to talk because the details is not so thorough. So as I was looking at the thing itself, I realized you use social commerce, you have a few good things. There's instant feedback. You talk to the person, they feedback to you. It's more personalized, more customized. And I say, I want to buy this LED light. Is it this model good or not? The person, if it's a very experienced person, say, for lesser money, you can actually buy this model. It's even better. The screw won't come out if you buy from this brand, so on and so forth. Then I find it very convenient because I'm not a subject matter expert. I just want to buy something. And it is imitating offline buying. It's just that everything is done through IG, done through Line, done through WhatsApp. So it makes my product and price inquiry snappy. Then I said, okay,
But on the
no
other
problem.
angle of this, right? I'm
Yeah.
just because you're talking about, because you Manfred kind of categorize Shopee and Lazada as
e-commerce.
non-social selling. No, I actually disagree.
Okay, share with
No,
me. Share with me.
I agree to disagree, right? Because
Uh,
you know how I buy. I think it's basically based on how people buy. Like basically, let's say if I want to buy something, okay, I probably look at maybe 5 sellers who are selling the same thing, and I'll just talk to 5 of them and see who
Yeah.
actually gives me more information about that. So that's the element of social commerce, if you agree with me. So that's one part of
but
it.
my
Now,
experience is they are very slow. Take a few days
no,
and
those who are slow, don't buy from them.
to buy already.
That means they are not up to par. But for those who are actually respond, I had that experience chatting with a seller for half an hour, really learning about how to actually fix my plant issues. So that was the guy who gave me all the information, and I am actually kind of hooked with him. So, I mean, I'm not sure whether it's him or her anyway. So, with the brand, I started to kind of like buy more things from the brand. So that's kind of the experience that you can create. Because I totally agree with Kartina and Manfred that speed is the thing, but speed can also apply on, like marketplace selling. And when it comes to marketplace selling, like Shopee and Lazada, they also have live selling. Manfred, you really, I mean, have you joined any live
Yeah,
on
I
Shopee or
got
Lazada?
joined in Singapore. There's not in Lazada. I tried the Facebook group. So I saw something that I like. Yeah, I don't know how to buy. That's a problem.
No,
From
you
a
have
digital
to.
marketeer.
You have to, because when it comes to live buying, right? Because recently I sort of have a bit of experience with live buying. Okay, live buying has got different format. I actually buy from a Facebook page, which is like a regular live buying where they will do like bidding. They will say that, oh, this is like how much you guys got bid. So that's one way. Now the other way is they will have this icon. I mean, this item is E55 plus how many you want. Those kind of stuff, right? I've experienced that. But you know how it works on Shopee?
How it works?
The
I don't
item
know.
is there. You like it, click buy.
Oh, that's even better, right?
I told you. That's why, that's the evolution of the, so-called this e-commerce marketplace. And in my opinion, they're actually becoming social media.
Mm.
They're
they are
becoming
becoming
social
social.
networks themselves. They are becoming social networks. Look at the feed. Look at how these people posting things. Look at how these people interact with life. It's powerful, I think. I don't know. What do you think about this, Katina? What's the take?
I think we discussed a bit of differences right here, right? I think one items that we need to underline here is again, I mentioned, I touch it lightly, that it really depends on the persona. So what is your customer profile? What is your customer segment? I always go back to that. So it really answers the fact that the reason why, for instance, those kind of social media sellers, the reason why they put up the e-commerce, because probably you ask why they still need to have that, although they have their own website, web page channel, and then they all links to this digital payment kind of capabilities. They have that capabilities. So why do they need this kind of e-commerce platform still? Because it's simply that they need to get a larger consumer base, right? I mean, you can't really define unless you are very very skewed to one set of angle, and then you are really sure that you have an active communities. You have again the kind of groups that are always talking about you on a regular basis. Then you think, okay, you don't really need to be at all e-commerce platform, but you can really select where you want to be, and you can sort of play a bit of the campaign with them. That is to differentiate your kind of e-commerce and your social media kind of engagement. So there is there must be some brands are doing that. It's happening here. That's how they play with their audience. So that
Nice.
will be the answer of this. The whole approach.
Nice. Thank you for the filling in the context. Now, since we talk about social commerce, and up to now we're already spending about 30 over minutes talking about the difference, the different platforms, different approaches, and all that. Let's talk about the benefits and drawbacks. You see, I would say as a subset of e-commerce, social commerce definitely has got its, so-called the plus point, which is maybe you can actually do a bit of more engagement. But based on your observation, Katina, what would be the benefits and drawbacks if somebody wants to embrace social commerce?
Okay. The reason why we want to be in this kind of game, of social commerce, it's simply because we understand about these social selling, social influence that will really benefit your products, your brands. That will be the key things. So those benefits could also be your drawbacks. That is in my view. So it's kind of like a double sword. You see where I'm coming from, right? So at one key of time, you will need for example, you will need those people to talk about you. But once you fail, there will also be the one that will talk about you too. So this is a bit of a drawback of this social commerce. So you really need to play. You really need to know how you want to get in, and how you want to engage, and how you want to manage. It's not an easy job, I know. It's not an easy strategy as well. That from time to time you need to refresh yourself. You need to refresh your brand approach, your kind of marketing kind of angle, perhaps. So this is what I call as a benefit as well as the drawbacks.
I would say, yeah, sure. Manfred, please.
Don't mind I hijack. I think social commerce heavily comes from IG shop, in my opinion, from what I observe. Maybe because I think a lot of ladies like to sell fashion. Yeah, a lot of ladies like to look at IG. They see the model wear the dress and they want to buy. So it's very straightforward. They see the dress, they click, they want to buy. So that is a main part. And I remember social commerce, I think number one item is fashion clothing. So that's how it started. But because of this basis, there are a lot of benefit and drawbacks itself. So I remember, of course, we start from the disadvantages. I think this is, as in what I mentioned about the clothing, so it's actually meant more for shopper, not for seller. You see, this seller have to stand by to answer. It's very time consuming. Then this platform, social media like FB and IG is not yours. They can shut you down. Like website, correct or not? Then plus the FB and IG has low organic reach, and it's only purely on social media. And if there's negative feedback, then that will be an issue. Don't you agree? These are all the disadvantages. But of course, advantages there are, like, say example, let me think for what. Of course, like usual, when people has trust, you talk to like a real person, then it's all down there, and then people can see. Then you can build your brand when you're small. Then heavily mobile shoppers, and I think the reach is worldwide lah. If your things is unique lah, that's how I see it lah. But of course, I never sell via social commerce. I was doing a lot of reading to understand this very interesting phenomenon. People are changing due to, but the most interesting one is the IG shop lah, where people the usual, where the model will dress the fashion and people will click. Because on IG you can the dress, the hat, the bag. But the thing is, they don't have payment, right? Don't have payment gateway, right? IG don't
Not
have,
yet. Not yet.
Not yet, yeah.
At the moment. But seriously, if you are a more established seller, IG shop and Facebook shop, it actually allows you to link back to your Facebook to your website. So even if you're selling on, your website, that's how things should be facilitated. So I would definitely agree with Manfred and Kartina about the drawback and benefits. But based on my observation, because I have a lot of students who actually used to sell on Instagram shop. What I understand is this: Instagram shop will be a good place to start if you are like a budding
for certain
entrepreneurs.
items lah.
I mean,
for certain items
for most of the things, because the benefit of it, in my opinion, is you can leverage on the traffic, because there are a lot of ways that you can draw organic traffic if you don't have if you don't have the so-called the budget to play with advertising. It allows you to pull in, and of course you have these social sharing capabilities, which is you can leverage. You can get more things from there. But then again, like Manfred brought up a very interesting point. You have no life if you're selling solely depending on social media to sell. Like I have a couple. I mean, I have two students. They're a couple. They are running this quite successful. In fact, they make about while we are still talking, right? Like when last year, prior to the pandemic, they were already making about 6-figure in revenue every month. Ringgit, of course. I mean, that's ringgit, but six-figure revenue every month. But this guy, they're actually very, very, I would say kind of like poor thing, right? They went to Korea for vacation. All they do is replying.
Yeah, then what's the point of going Korea?
All they do is replying. So she was just joking to me that you get to enjoy the weather while they're selling jewelries.
Jewelries. So they skiing.
I don't know, man. So that's the drawback, if you ask me, because it actually, like how Kartina pointed it out, which is really time consuming. That's why their biggest struggle is how to evolve.
Should outsource to some assistant to help.
But I would say
SOP.
Not necessarily. Outsource is one thing, because sometimes, right, if you outsource to somebody else to reply, right, the guy can't reply like you.
Need some training.
And
SOP,
people like Kartina can smell from like 56 kilometers away. You'll smell that this is not the guy who is passionate
from
about
Singapore to Jakarta.
And you don't buy, right? That's the thing. We can smell the passion. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a very important thing. That's why.
That's really. I mean, I was asking my friend who run this kind of like a still small case of business, right? So I was asking her why, because I have this kind of like various seller that they are close to me, right? Because I randomly, sort of like ordering from them. So I was asking, how do you know? Do you get the feel that this person is really, just really serious about buying from you, your product and everything? Because they get the feel.
Yeah.
So you are right by saying that yeah, you have the feel so that's why, right? I think, I mean, the kind of like evolvement these days, that you see that why people are using, for example, they're using this WhatsApp for business, right? So WhatsApp for business is currently helping you to say that I'm available from this hours until that hours. If not, then you can direct with the website and everything. So by all means, if you say that the starting base is in Instagram, for instance, it's actually easy because then you can just simply connect your simple web page, and then just click the transfer if you don't get the digital payment, or kind of like access, right, to those kind of payment channel. So it's just as simple as that to start from, just WhatsApp for business, and those two. But again, yeah, the drawback is simply if you don't manage it, it goes back to your product, whether your product can sustain the hype of the targeted audience is also another key that you have to understand too. For example, until from time to time, they don't feel like there is, I mean, some key, I mean, competitive kind of like differences from your product, or probably they will feel like this is only a one time, two time kind of like ordering from this guy, or from this shop, then I'm done. I mean, if consumers got that feel, then you won't go anywhere. I
True.
mean, no matter how with that, because peer to peer is actually a kind of like the double sword here. I mean, I still think that that will be
You have
the key.
to rely on something like Carousel where they hold the money. I
So you
think
have to make a
Pixel also that
choice.
yeah.
Yeah. So basically, for sellers, right? If you're actually if you're considering starting using leveraging on the social commerce, like the platforms or the features available, I think you need to at least have the readiness to actually evolve. If not, it's very difficult to grow.
Mm,
So when it comes to evolution, there are many ways, right? Okay, some will
mm,
say that I need a bloody website, but in my opinion, I've seen a lot of cases where I actually work
Mm.
with, they don't even need a website,
mm.
because when it
True.
comes to Instagram selling or
Mm.
WhatsApp selling, all you need to do is the destination to collect payment. It can be
Yeah.
Shopee, it can be
Yeah.
Lazada. So
Yeah.
don't make things complicated. I think that's what I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
And,
think
and,
that
and
this part is a very good discussion because the drawback is real. I can feel their pain
yeah.
when they are on vacation
Mm.
while working.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Just to add something for the
Yeah.
various industry, I think it's important to identify what are common industry, say example clothing, the fashion, food, snacks, beverages, cosmetics, perfume standard standard
Yeah.
cosmetic standard cannot deviate except maybe the color on the screen cannot see it correctly. Beauty products,
But it's no longer
accessories,
that easy, I would say, at this point of time, right?
is
It's no
it
longer that easy
bags?
to start
Yeah,
Mm.
because
because it's already getting competitive. So let's bring
yeah,
us to the next
yeah,
question. Seriously, like this is a very open-ended discussion. I think that will be very helpful for those who are thinking to start. Well, in my opinion, I think what is the best time to start. Now, right? So I always believe if you are ready, this is the best time to start because if you think too much, you will never start. So, what do you think? Based on your opinion, I mean, Katina, what should I get ready to start?
When should I start? I think you should start at any time. I will always I mean, go with that directions, because you never know. If you think that you have this product, that you think that this is something unique, and something that is needed, then just go for it. I mean, you never know, I mean, after you run it. I mean, if you ask me, is there any kind of like a failure during this pandemic that I've seen so far? Yes, I do. Some of the people actually, closing the kind of like business, although they kind of like before the pandemic, it was fine, but they are starting some other set of businesses which is much more, much more larger than the previous one. So you never know, right? I mean until you got to start. Until then, you know whether which one is the right business for you. So in a simple words, it's not about the social commerce, because social commerce by all means is just a strategy. It's about, the question is about, when should I start my business? You need to start your business when you think that you are ready to take on board with all the hassle and the all the like the benefits and the drawbacks again. And then when you talk about the social commerce, it's just simply that, again, what tools should I do? What tools should I use? To sort of like communicate my product, to sell my product. So it goes back to the social commerce at the end of the day.
Yeah, I would definitely agree, because we talk about starting out, right? I would, one of my favorite story about my student is, through the pandemic, he got laid off.
Yeah.
He's from Philippines. That dude got laid off. He has no
Okay.
job, and he was thinking that, okay, now what should I do now? So he was thinking that, okay, let's sell something, and he ordered a few so-called I think what was he selling? Some air purifier kind of thing.
Okay.
So he
Yeah,
ordered some air purifier from China.
Yeah.
Before the stock arrived, he ordered 10 units. He
Mm.
ordered 10 units. Before the stock arrived, he actually listed the product on Shopee. Overnight, he sold about 90 over units. And he was like, shit, what should I do now? So, yeah. So he had to call the customer and say that, there will be delay. If you don't like it, you can actually, fast forward to what he is right now. He's
Yeah.
actually having multiple outlets now.
Wow.
He has a brand. He has multiple outlets at the largest shopping malls in Philippines. So
Wow.
this guy is going crazy. But I guess the real thing is about, I totally agree that it's, this is a happy story. But then again, there will be a lot of sad stories out there that you don't know. But I guess the readiness is you just have to come in. But if I can actually suggest anything for those who want to start, if you are passionate about a product, you definitely know where your audience is hanging out.
Yep.
I think that's really something. If you're passionate about the thing that you're going to sell, if you're not passionate about the thing that you're going to sell, then I would say maybe you shouldn't start, because people can smell.
Yeah.
Especially if you're selling something like, for example, clothing, jewelries, right? If you're not somebody who is the subject matter expert, like what Manfred was, saying, of that product, why would I want to buy from you? There are so many different sellers out there, right? So you shouldn't. But if you do, whether they're hanging out on Facebook group, whether they're hanging out on certain Facebook pages and all that, you know where to find them. So choosing the platform should be easy for you. So it's a Facebook group or is it anything else? And it's how you start, leverage on whatever platform that you feel comfortable with. And I think one thing that I brought up just now is the readiness to evolve. I think it's a very important thing, because so many people just start and eventually when they hit to a point that don't know what to do. Like yesterday, it was this morning, I was just talking to one of my students in the state, US.
Okay.
She is running this lingerie business. The biggest challenge that she was saying to me was, I don't know what to do next.
Yep.
You grow your business to a point that you don't know what to do next. That's why somehow or other you should join the 3 Marketeers show from time to time, so that we can have people like Kartina and we have researchers like Manfred that can share with us some interesting stories, right? But seriously, I thought up to now, I forgot to actually flash this thing. But guys, if you want to connect with Kartina, you can actually go over to her LinkedIn profile and, connect with her. This is where you can, if you want to find out more about the Indonesia market, because I have definitely a lot of students who are trying to enter different market, and Indonesia naturally is their next best market to explore, because it's big, it's really big, but it's not easy for other people. It's not easy to penetrate. It's a very, very interesting market. So if you want to find out more, if you want to need some insights about the market, you probably can connect with Kartina. So here's the link. So guys, if you are listening to the podcast, you know where to go. You have to go to the YouTube channel to look for the link, okay? So I've already flashed it up. So let's come back to the discussion now. Where are we now? Okay, now what do you think? Based on your observation, Kartina, what are the greatest challenges when it comes to social commerce? I think this could be the last question before we wrap this.
Okay. I still, I still think that peer-to-peer will be the greatest challenge in the social commerce. As simple as that. Why I said so? Because peer-to-peer is where you start from. Because this is one thing that you would like to build, and then this is what connects you with other set of strategy as well that you might implement in your social commerce kind of like play, which is like whether you need to get for example, you need a content creator, you need an influencer. That's another angle or items to step on, right? And once you step in the social commerce, but the key items that no matter it's about the content creator, no matter it's about engaging an influencer, and the challenge in the social commerce is comes back to your peer-to-peer kind of like interactions, influence, engagement. It's all about the P2P.
Right,
Peer to
right.
peer, peer to
So
peer.
the peer-to-peer thing, right? So it's really about. So we touched about the influencer. Okay, I think this would be a very interesting thing that we would like to find out. Okay, uh, where should I, when or where should I enlist the help of influencers? Like, if you want to find somebody like influencer in Indonesia, is there some platform that I can actually connect?
Yeah. There is a kind of like you need to go into a kind of like there is this I'm not
Community?
saying about the company or sort of thing, but there is a
Some
channel you
agencies
get.
out there, lah.
Yeah,
Agency
yeah.
or platform. But
So
not
so
cheap,
sort of
right?
that you can look into if you would like to get into influencer. But I probably need to highlight two things. I think we kind of like jump into influencers directly, because there is this content creator and there is always the influencers. And I think if you read about this kind of like hype, if you are interested to read, right? If some of the viewers would like to understand more about what is going to happen with social media in the next year round. So I think we will still be in the context of communities, in the context of how to leverage the brand, how to build your communities and the brand and everything, right? So that is the reason why this digital content creator will be something that is still going to be another set of hype next year. So I think the key things that we need to understand is when we need some help from the content creator. Okay, and then when until you understand that the content is there, the content is ready, but there is another set of strategy that you would like to implement, then when I should kick off with the influencer. I think that should be the part I think sellers or brands needs to understand here, right? When to get in with the content, when to get in with the influencers. It's not something that you can set easily, but you need to get into again to understand your market when you need that. And then if you think that it doesn't bring you to the level that you want, then probably you need to get the help of the influencers. Yeah.
Right, right. I think that really gives us some context because really, I mean, I've seen sellers who immediately start a business and already looking at, oh, let's get some influencers that really roll this thing and all that. So based on Kartina's observation, it's not really the right way. You just have to really measure based on your capability in terms of content creation. Then only you actually look at the influencer. Great. I mean, really great insights about the market, about Indonesia, and about the social commerce and the influencer marketing as a whole. Really learn a lot from you. Thank you so much for sharing. But before we go, Manfred, as
Yep.
usual, you're up. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Before doing this, I just want to mention about, because the
Oh,
greatest
okay.
challenge, I was still thinking about the greatest challenge. So we have mentioned that you can talk to people straightforward, then you can establish yourself as subject matter expert. We are looking at all the good things, right? we never talk about the bad things of that for a seller. So I think there will be arguments. This is white collar. Then the person say, no, this is not white collar. You know, the argument. Then sometimes those shoppers, social commerce shoppers, unnecessarily really looking to buy. You know, they're just browsing. So there are people out there bargain already. They won already. They don't buy. Oh, that one.
Are you that kind of people?
I'm not that kind of people. So seriously,
Wow,
this is really nonsense. So
else I unfriend you.
Yeah, unfriend. And sometimes the transaction problem can snowball, getting more and more. So there are some challenges out there. It's not a bit of roses out there lah. When there's plus, there's minus also. So just want to upfront. Okay. Talk too much already. Let's go back to our wow.
No, that's you. That's you. You know, we know you.
It came to my mind, so I feel obligated.
Let it out, my friend. Let it out. That's good. You know, else no good to keep it in your system. Let it out.
So we are at this tool called mixkit.co.
What the hell is this?
Free assets for your next video product. So if you want to put, I don't know whether I can put inside Instagram or not. So there are stock video, stock music, stock effect, video templates. So there's technology, ambient, similar. So I stumbled across this website. So I was video. No, last time it's just images or audio. Now it's video. Maybe you look at technology.
Now, video is the next big thing. Like who's the guy who actually did the prediction for 2022 already?
Yeah. So you can see man in the suit working from the kitchen, the video. So I think they have a very typical people discussing tool co-working, talking and laughing video, so and so forth. So I haven't thought of the usage yet. So I stumbled across this.
No, usually all these images are good as, you know, like B-roll.
Video.
B-roll.
I thought more for okay. So I thought it's more for GIF type.
No, like for B-roll. If you know how to do the video editing, B-roll means you need to do some interchanges. You know, you cannot be just the talking head. People get bored. But if you have lazy YouTubers like me, I talking head all the time, right? So yeah. So basically, you know, we have a different time. Some people like to do this B-roll.
Jason put the comments into
already. Thank you so much for sharing the website of the week, Manfred, and thank you so much for joining us, Kartina. It's a really great learning from you about the market in Indonesia and about social commerce. Thank you so much. Maybe like what Manfred mentioned just now from the beginning, you know, the next round we probably can have you back to talk about fintech, since you're now more, you know, into fintech right now, right? So so this is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching.
Next week we have Ian back for SEM.
Okay, cool.
We're going to deep dive into search engine marketing. So if you have any questions, just drop me a message in LinkedIn. You see the name down there. You can find me easily. There's only one Manfred Shi. Okay.
Yeah, and hopefully next week we can have Andrew back. You know, we don't even have his head here for today. I probably should have just I don't know, edit something over there. But things happen. But he's fine.
Most important to all our audience and listeners out there, Merry Christmas.
Oh yeah, it's
Merry Christmas.
Dang. All right,
it's very busy.
Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you all.
And the next time we probably wish you Happy New Year already, right? That's what we do. So, all right, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks Kartina for joining us. This is the Three Marketeers Show. We go live every Wednesday
in the last episode of 2021. Next
week is gonna be our last episode of 2021. Wow. I'll see you on the next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Thank you so much, guys. See you next week. Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.